Okay, I'm going to sign in as a supervisor now. Oops. And if you notice, actually I'm going to undo these real quick. I have a lot more on my page than just an employee has on their page. And if I hover over, you'll notice a little star appears. And what I did is I made all of my things my favorites. And that way I know if it's about me, it's in my favorites box. If it's about my staff, it's everywhere else. So I'm not going to cover my timesheet, my time off on my calendar because we've already discussed that. The edit employee time, we mentioned earlier that an employee can run a report and see if you changed their time. So what I am going to strongly encourage you to do is to not change your employee's timesheet, ever, unless you absolutely have to. Really, legally, you shouldn't be. If they're not doing something correctly, you need to go back and explain to them what they should have done and how they need to fix it. If you have a disagreement on whether they worked those hours or not, then you need to have a conversation with them. But if they say, no, I worked it, then you need to pay them for it. And then it becomes an ER issue. You need to talk to employee relations. Right? Don't change their timesheet. The things that you might change if an employee is going out, and let's say they had a car accident, and it's Thursday, the pay period ends, they're in the hospital, you're going to want to get them paid, right? So I would go in, key their paid leave scheduled in for those days. Then once I approve it, I would print it out. That's the only time I would print it and get them to sign it when they come back. Then keep that documentation because internal auditing will be coming to you and asking you for your documentation. Why did you change their timesheet? I also would put it in the comments why you did it. Just be careful, especially in a car accident type situation. You don't get into medical reasons. It's just they had an accident, a car accident, entering time on their behalf. So that there's some documentation on why you did it. But to edit time, you just click on your group, you go in, it opens right up, and it says, though you were them. Nothing is locked out. I can make any change, I can insert. So don't change it. We talked about that. I don't know why it's being so slow, but don't change their timesheet unless there's a reason, a valid reason for you to do that. But you do have the ability to if you needed to. Edit time for groups, I'm going to go over it, but there more than likely is never going to be a time that you use it. I tried to get it removed, but they told me it's delivered functionality and that I couldn't. So we're going to tell you what it is, and then that way you don't always look at it and go, what does this do? You'll know. And I believe my pay period, yeah, don't ever use it. I think this is the right pay period. It may give me a warning here. You basically enter your pay period that you want to make a change on, select your employees, which they should be the only option for you in your group, unless someone's delegated to you, and then that group would appear as well, so if you've been delegated to. And you select the employees, so it allows you to update multiple employees at one time. That's what it does. So then you go add. It's not going to let me do anything because the payroll is in a situation where I can't, but I should be able to click this down arrow, select my pay code. It would open the fields that I can change. So an example would be we close early and I'm going to be nice and enter my employee's admin because it's a partial day. I could do that here. I'd select admin, key in 4 hours, put university closed at noon, and save the page, and now it's entered for all of them. I would never do that. I would have my employees do it. But that is the only example I can think of and why we might use it. That's what it does. Eventually, it's going to take me back to the home page. There it went. Approving timesheets. I click on the Approve Timesheets. It's going to take me in. I select my group of employees that I want to approve. Notice I have amended timesheets on here. And then I have the current timesheet for the current period. And I also have monthly and hourly on my approval screen. So if you click the approve all, you're going to lock either your hourly out or your monthly out. So you may have to, if you supervise hourly and monthly employees, you may have to approve them one at a time. Or if you only have a few monthly, you can approve all, and then you can go unapprove it. And they have my payroll in a situation where I can't even show you. But you just click approve, which these are all, they've advanced the period, and now I can't show you. But you just click approve, and that's how you would approve it. Also, notice on the submitted column, all of these say no. You want all of yours to say yes, because that means your employees submitted their timesheet to you, they signed off on it. If it says no, then you want to go back to them and have them submit before you approve. Also on the exception columns, it says yes, which means I have exception messages on their timesheets. I may want to go look at them, but I'm going to show you some other ways that you can check out what's going on. More than likely, they've exceeded, actually, these are yellow because it says he has total 8. I'd have to go look at why Diamond's getting an error message or an exception. This one is because he hasn't met 80. She hasn't met, or Chris hasn't met his 80. He hasn't met his 80. I'm not sure why they're getting an exception message. We'd have to look at them. A lot of the times you can look at it and determine why. More than likely that they're getting an exception message. If it's red, you can't approve it. You need to go and have them do something.
Now, is there a place where you can click on them and see what they entered on a daily basis?
You just click on their name, and it'll open up, and that's another way you can see what the exception messages are. So hers are, because she exceeded 10 hours, she worked 10 hours in what we would have expected her to work 8 hours in one day. So that's why it's showing an exception message.
Can you approve it if it hasn't been submitted?
Yes,
So if they're on vacation, that's it, and they didn't submit.
you can still submit it for them, or approve it for them. Any other questions on the approval side of it? Yes?
Say you get a timesheet and it's submitted, and you click on it, and you know they came in at 8:15, but they put 8 o'clock. How does
You can reject it. This little button right here, you can click on it, and it's not going to let me do it more than likely, but you click on it. Oh, it did. It opens up a box, and actually it's not going to, it's just telling me I can't do it. It'll open up a box, and it will let me type a message to them, and it sends them an email. I probably would go and talk to them in person, but you can.
is that where one of the things we were discussing is using the web clock?
The web clock is different. I think I have it on him, so I can show it. I don't. Do you want to see what the web clock does? Okay. So yes, the web clock would do exactly what they punch in, and they can't change it. So if they forget to punch in or they forget to punch out for lunch, you have to fix it. And so you have to put in the comments, employee forgot to clock out for lunch, and I would want to get something in writing from the employee that tells me when they clocked out or when they left so that I have that as backup, that type thing. You also have reports that you can run. You have the ones that you can run on yourself, and you can also have some manager reports. So you can run a report on your employees' accrual. This is your terminated employees. You can look at them. I haven't ran that, so I'm not sure exactly what's on there. Exception report. So instead of looking at each employee's timesheet or looking at the approval screen to see what my exception messages are, I can run this report and just pick my pay period end date. Pick one that's a little bit earlier. Pick my employees, select them. And then I would just select all of my exception messages just so I know. And then run it. It'll let me run it to a PDF and should open up here. So now I can read all of my exception messages. I don't have to look at each employee's timesheet. And if I didn't bank it, it'd say comp time has been banked, approval is needed. That way I know that I need to do something. I'll also show you another way that you can see that as well. So that's one of the reports you have. You also have, under the timesheet reports, you can run a report to see who hasn't submitted their timesheet to you. And I don't know what payroll they're on, but this may not bring me back any data, but we'll see. But the cool thing about it is it brings it to me in with their email. So I can just grab their emails accounts off of here, throw it on an email and tell them, hey, I need these to me. You guys haven't submitted your timesheets, so they need to be to me by this date, this time. And I would want to run this report until all of the unsubmitted is cleaned. It comes back with no one on it, and that way I know it's good for me to approve. I can go out and approve them. And then if I have a lot of employees, if you don't have very many, this may not be beneficial, but if you have a lot of employees, you can run the unapproved timesheet report, and it would tell you anyone that you didn't catch. So if there's anything out there that's waiting you missed, you can find that out. There's also an hours by pay code. So if you wanted to run a report to find out how many hours your employees have reported in a pay period, I select my employees. I can select all of my pay codes, or I can select a specific one if I just want to know overtime or banked holiday, or some of these codes aren't our codes, so you'll see some that you're like, I don't know what that is. It probably isn't something that you would use. I usually just select all and I run it. If you view the payroll extracts, this might come in handy for you because it's going to show you hours. Just keep in mind it's going to put hourly and monthly together because they cross a pay period. Once we get everybody up and live and we're more steady and we're not running everywhere, we're going to modify a report that you can select, I just want my biweekly staff or I just want my monthly staff. But it shows all the comp time, overtime, paid leave. They don't have a lot during this pay period, so I don't. But it will scroll out. As many pay codes as they have, I would see them. Same thing for favorites, recently viewed and scheduled. There's also the audit report. We talked about how employees can see if someone changed their timesheet. If they come to you and say, someone's changed my timesheet, you can run the audit just like they can for that employee. And you can look at what they're looking at. And you might be able to go, oh, no, that's not a change. And maybe you can explain it to them. Because it might be the system did it, and they're not seeing the generated by system and didn't realize that's from the system. And do you guys have any other questions?
Currently, we're using the outreach timesheets, and so the employee puts their hours to the supervisor or verifier, and then it goes to the assistant director or the director for approval.
Mm-hmm.
I input the hours, and our associate director approves all the hours. Now, this is just one layer of approval. It's just the supervisor, it doesn't go any higher than
It's just a supervisor. It doesn't go any higher. There is a role that's called the timekeeper role that someone in a higher position can be assigned, and it allows them to see the whole department. That may be what you need. And that way you can see it. You have the ability to approve, just like the manager can. You can't approve leave requests, but you can approve timesheets. So it's always nice to have someone at that level. Right now, we're paying everyone regardless of whether or not their supervisor approved their time. Come June of 2019, we're not going to do that anymore. So it's nice to have some oversight to make sure that your supervisors got their stuff done so your employees get paid.
And that's the timekeeper?
Timekeeper role, right. There is a form on our website down here at the bottom. It's called Timekeeper and Supplemental Role Form. You can complete.
Say I'm on vacation and I'm the supervisor, and I hand it off to somebody else that wouldn't be.
Yes, you can assign a delegate before you go. Yes, and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute.
Yeah, can you do that each pay period?
You can assign a delegate for forever if you want to.
Can you have
So-
more than one timekeeper?
Yes, you can. You have as many as you want. More than one delegate, but you have to delegate for each person. Yes, they can for you on your behalf. The only thing they will not get, they don't get the emails. So they'd have to go look. Only the manager gets the emails. But you can, we had people complain about it. The only thing I would recommend is when you get the first one, look at how it's sent, and then just have those auto-forwarded. A copy's auto-forwarded to them, so they always get a copy, but it's coming from you. So this is how you would review the employee's time off requests that are waiting for you to approve. You just click Review Employee Leave Requests, and I'm going to get a list of all of the requests that are waiting for me to approve. So if I have 3 employees who report to me, and then they have employees that report to them. And what I ask them to do is to assign me as their delegate. So when I come in to review leave requests, I see everyone's. I just don't approve their employees, I just approve mine. So just know if you delegate to someone, and they are also a supervisor, you're gonna see them all here. So I just have to go through and figure out, which is easy for me, but you may have multiple employees that are delegated to you. That might make it a little bit more difficult, but I know who my staff are, so I just pick them. There's also this view group calendar here that I can click on, and it will pull up the calendar for everyone that I am the supervisor of, so I know who's in the office and who's not. Basically, I know who's not in office. And I can make informed decisions when I approve leave requests. I would just throw this over onto another screen and then go down my list. And you can move forward, back and forth. You can also sort this by the start date, so you're approving them in order. You had a question?
On the delegate,
Uh-huh.
can someone that's not a supervisor be a delegate?
They can. University policy states that you have to delegate up or at your same level. Just keep that in mind. On the OU employee approver page in PeopleSoft, there should be someone in here, the room, that has access to that page. There is a manager role that has to be selected, because only people who are assigned as a supervisor will show up on when you go to delegate. So if they don't supervise anyone, then you have to select that so they'll appear as a manager. Right. So all the pending are the ones that are waiting for me. The time off request history are the ones I've already approved. So I can deal with one here if I wanted to. I actually need to give Aretha some more time, so I'm going to deny this one. When I come in, right now it's telling me I can't approve it because the pay period is in the past. So I'm going to reject it, which are a lot of these because we're not approving these or in that status. When I reject or approve, my employees get a notice that I did one or the other. If I approve it, it will put it on their timesheet. If I reject it, it does not.
If you reject it and then they put it on their timesheet anyway,
You're not notified, you just have to know that hopefully you know they're not there.
right?
Right.
But it'll still let them.
It'll let them, yes. Yes. That's in a positive discipline discussion.
Any kind of infrastructure to match the scheduled leave request to the scheduled leave on their timesheet at all? Or are they just going separate? Like leave request here, but they can put whatever they want on their timesheet for scheduled leave.
There might be on the reports. I haven't really gotten in here and ran a lot of the reports. You might be able to look, it says time off request. That's just going to be the ones that have the time off request. I don't know if the history would provide that for you or not. I don't know that it does. If you find that out, you run some of the reports, let me know. The group calendar that I showed you on the leave request screen that I pulled up, I can pull that up from here. I don't actually have to go into the leave request to get that. The employee calendar just lets me pull up one employee's calendar. Just like they can pull up and view, I can look at just one specific employee. That way, if I needed to find a time that I could get with Aretha, I can pull up her calendar and look to see when she's here. And I believe this is showing me time that she's keyed in directly on her timesheet, I believe. Because I don't think this is a leave request. I think she keyed it on her timesheet. Because it's just for 4 hours on one day. But it might be. I haven't went to go look. The assigned schedules, I'm not going to go over and how to manage a schedule because you're not using that functionality. Managed delegations is what we were just talking about. So if I want to delegate my authority to someone, I click on Manage Delegations. Then I just select Delegate Authority. You don't really need to key anything in, just select Search, then select your employees, and then I put my end date. If I can. So I can put 2 weeks, 3 months, whatever I want to do, or I can do 12/31/3000, which is forever. They're always my delegate. Allow redelegation, we're going to ask that you not use that, because if I delegate to someone and they delegate to someone else, I don't know they just did that. I'm not notified. So don't allow redelegation. And you just click Next. It's going to ask you who, and I recommend you key in their IMPL ID. If you key in their name, you're going to see everyone who's a supervisor with that name. So if it's John Smith, you may select the wrong John Smith. IMPL ID is best, and make sure you get the right person. You just click Search, and it will pull up the name. Just click on the radio button and say Select, and it will come back and say it was successfully delegated to her or him. Then I can click Continue, and if I want to view who I've delegated my authority to, I just click on that. I can search, and it will pull up a list. My list is getting really long because we've done this in quite a bit. But at the bottom, I should see Kay. I passed her. Notice where it has a little revoke hyperlink. I can revoke her access at any point in time. So if Kay came in and gave me her notice, I can just click Revoke, and it will allow me to revoke it immediately. Or I can revoke it at the end of the day, and I can list a specific date. So if I want her to continue to approve timesheets on my behalf, I can put it out 2 weeks until her last day, and then her access will end at the end of that day. But I'm just going to do it immediately and say revoke. And now when I come down and find Kay, there she is. You'll notice the date was changed to yesterday because I said revoke it immediately. So she no longer has access. My leave requests, I'm El Nino, so my leave requests appear in this box as well, but so do my staff. So I can come in and click on their request from the box here, and it will open it up, and all of these are old, so all I can do is reject it, but I can approve it. It would have a green check mark and say approval. Yes, those are the only ones that have not been approved yet. The next thing is this message box. We talked a lot about the messages, the exception messages that your employees have on their timesheet. This box you can customize to how you want, the exception messages you want to view. And I had changed them quite a bit, but everybody's using this for training, so they have changed what I've set up. But I can click on the push pins. The red push pins are the ones I need to take care of. So if you have the web clock, you'll see they're missing an in and out time. I'm going to have red messages for them. The yellow is just informational. So when I see the yellow on the yes, it's these types of messages. I have overtime's been earned, it can be banked, and they keep approving my. So this one, the employee banked their comp time, but I have to approve it. They banked their overtime as comp time, I have to approve it. I can approve it right here. Just click on it and it's now approved. And it goes to my white push pin. And if I needed to unapprove it, I can do that here as well. Yes, instead of going to their timesheet. I cannot, why it's not letting me delete that one. I don't know that I can click on it, and actually it takes me to their timesheet. Yeah, so I can look at it. And then just click the back button to go back. I think so. Yes. Failed to communicate with server. It is a test database. Just try it in production. I think it'll work. I don't think you can break it. You might slow it down, but I don't think you can break it.
Is this another one that runs best on
I use Chrome. This is Firefox. No, yeah. But I use Chrome. So this little gear right here, if you click on that, it's going to open up and allow you to determine which messages you want to appear in this box. Now, it's only driving the message box. It's not going to take them off the timesheet or anything like that, or the report. So if you decide, I am not using scheduling, I don't care about that, cannot find the work weekday after the holiday. I don't know that I've ever seen that, but it will ask you to verify. You might come through, what I would recommend you do is go through a couple of payrolls and determine which messages are appearing in this box that you don't care to see. And then come in and turn them off, but do it one at a time. Come in, find it, turn it off, save it, go make sure that's the one that disappeared, not one that you wanted to keep. You also can, when you go live, this show assignment description will not be selected, and all you're going to see is their name. I click show assignment description so that I can see their name, their department, their title, their IMPL ID, their IMPL record. I also, when you go live, it's sorted by assignment. I changed it to date because payroll is date driven. So I changed it to date. And then at the bottom, you have your leave balances as of today. So that's all your balances. Do you guys have any questions on anything that I talked about on the supervisor side of it? Okay. If there's no questions, you guys are free to go.